If you're watching this, chances are your dream is to move to Europe, but you're at that age where you can't financially support yourself. And your parents aren't able to offer you that support either. Or maybe they are, but they've got a different mentality than you. They may believe that you need to stay in your hometown to be successful and go to university locally, because that's the way it was when they were younger. Your parents only want the best for you, and although I think it's important to be empathetic and understand that from them, I don't think that should stop you from moving to Europe if that's your dream.
Let them.
Although you may believe it's impossible, it is possible to support yourself while moving to a new continent. And in this video, I'm going to show you how. I've got 4 principles that are going to help you a lot when it comes to making this a reality for yourself. Don't mind the coffee stain on my shirt. I don't know if you can see it, but please don't look at it. There's one idea that actually came from my grandfather, and he passed it on to my dad, and then my dad passed it on to me. And it's the idea that when it comes to being financially responsible, it's not all about the amount of money that you make. It's about how much money you can save. So a lot of these points are going to be focused on saving you money rather than making you an income while you're in Europe. So the first principle that I'm going to mention is going to be choosing a place that's realistic for you. Europe is huge and it's super diverse. And luckily, once you get there, it's extremely easy to hop between countries because there are so many budget airlines like Ryanair, Wizz Air, and EasyJet that make it possible to go from one end of Europe to the complete other end for under $50. Plus baggage, which is going to be another $50, but we don't talk about that. Pack light, that's another idea, to avoid paying $50 for the check bag. But what I mean by choose somewhere realistic is don't go somewhere that is extremely expensive and way above your budget unless you know you'll be able to make an income to support yourself while you're there. It's important to remember that Southern Europe is generally a lot less expensive than Northern Europe, and Eastern Europe is generally a lot less expensive than Western Europe. Think cities like Prague in the Czech Republic, or Budapest in Hungary, or even Belgrade in Serbia. I know that the idea of Eastern Europe might scare some of you, but a lot of cities in Eastern Europe are getting to be a lot more known in the international community. There are a lot more things to do than you would think in cities like Belgrade. If you really want to live somewhere affordable, think countries like Poland or Portugal or Malta or Slovenia. And when it comes to choosing where you're going and finding flights, use Google Flights. There's not one platform that I like more than Google Flights. One feature that I really like on Google Flights when I'm not sure where to go is the map view. You have access to a map of the entire world with the lowest price to get there. I'm also a geography nerd, so that might be why I love that feature so much. But I've saved so much money by using that platform, and I believe it's the best way to find affordable flights. The second thing I'm going to talk about might be the hardest thing to figure out, but it's also got the most opportunity because it can be the least expensive part of your trip or the most expensive part of your trip, and that is lodging. You may believe that you need to rent an apartment, and that can be very overwhelming because no matter where you are, finding an apartment is an exhausting process. And good luck finding someone that'll let you rent for less than a year. If you're staying somewhere for a few months or a shorter period, your best bet is usually, unfortunately, Airbnb. Luckily, Airbnb does have weekly and monthly discounts, so if you stay longer than a week or a month, you may get a better price, but they are still quite expensive. Especially if you're a young person without financial support or a student. Airbnb might not be realistic, even in a less expensive country. Staying in your own apartment or room with Airbnb will literally eat at your budget. Over the years, I've discovered a couple of alternatives. Number 1 would be dog sitting, or pet sitting, or even house sitting. You can stay at a place for a few weeks to a few months without having to pay any rent or fees besides the fee of the platform that you're using, in exchange for taking care of a pet or a few animals or just the house. One thing I've noticed with these platforms is that you're going to get a job a lot faster if you have prior experience taking care of animals. Something that you could do to save money and gain experience and make this possible for yourself would be to advertise yourself as a pet sitter and try to do it locally in your hometown to gain the trust of people abroad and be able to pet sit for them eventually. Some really good platforms that I've heard great things about are Mind My House, Trusted House Sitters, and Rover.com. So if you're an animal lover or you like to stay home a lot, definitely try that out because it can save you a big amount of money. Another cool way to save money on lodging and pursue your passion would be Workaway. Workaway is a cultural exchange platform and it connects travelers with hosts around the world. Hosts offer lodging and they can even offer meals in exchange for about 4 to 5 hours of work every day. I've taught English using the platform while living in Spain, and it really made that possible for me for a few months while I was starting out university. I'd advise you to keep your options open, and if I were you, I'd even see it as a way to immerse yourself into something you're passionate about while living in Europe for free. If you're like me and you love wine, you could stay at a winery in France. If you're into hospitality, you could even work at a hostel in Malta. And if you want to get better at a certain language, you could teach English or whatever language you speak in a country with your target language. If you want to save literally tens of thousands of dollars a year on housing, I would strongly consider one of these alternatives. The third thing I want to talk about is food. That's an automatic expense. As humans, we have to eat. And for this one, all I can say is that you need to learn to cook, even if you don't like it. It is a life skill, and ultimately you'll thank yourself later. In the end, going to a grocery store or going to the market will always end up being cheaper than going out to eat every day. That's kind of obvious. If you really want to save money, I'd advise using your freezer and buying in bulk. If you have any friends that are locals, you could even ask them what they usually eat. They usually know how to save money because they usually know how to save money by buying and using the least expensive products in the country that you're staying at. You could even get them to teach you how to make some of the local dishes. That way, you not only try the local foods, but you also learn how to make them, and you can bring them back home and impress your friends and family. And if you really want to save time while living alone, take a few hours out of your week and portion your food and freeze it so it's ready whenever you want to eat it later on in the week. Lastly, my fourth point, this one's kind of obvious, but you could also find ways to make money in Europe. If you're privileged enough to be from a country where you can have a visa in Europe pretty easily, I would take advantage of that and find a job. In Europe, there's tons of opportunities for jobs in languages, tourism, hospitality, or maybe even something in your field if you're already a professional. So I'm gonna wrap it up. If you want to sustain yourself in Europe, number one, you need to find a realistic place and find an inexpensive way to get there. Number two, you don't always have to rent an apartment and you need to search for alternatives. Number three, you need to learn to cook. And number four, it really helps to have a job when you're in Europe as well. Well, if you like this video, you could always subscribe or give it a like or follow one of my other social medias. You guys can let me know in the comments if you want a Google Flights tutorial. But thank you so much for stopping by, and I'll see you next time. Bye.